Hey, good morning. It's the Fort Worth Playboy, and this is the Fort Worth Playboy Morning Show, Sunday morning edition. We're going to test this out, see how it goes. What do we cover here on the Playboy Morning Show? Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. We cover game, pickup, relationships, and sex. And when I say we, it's usually my Playboy's Bunny and myself. We're a partnership in this bad boy. And on Thursday mornings, we're here together, which is probably the best morning to call in or check in and ask questions because you can get access to Bunny and her girl brain that can help you with any challenges you may be having when it comes down to women, dating, relationships, or sex. But if you do have a question today, go to YouTube and in the comment section, and I will do my absolute best to answer your question during the broadcast. And if you ask questions on Twitter, unfortunately, I can't see it, so you'll need to go to the YouTube platform. But I will respond as quickly as possible to it. And we always start off with a maxim. And today's maxim is number 75. Let me get it up here. I'm not good at multitasking. No one is. Maxim number 75. And this one can be confusing. If you get sexually rejected, do not admit it to yourself, and especially don't admit it to the girl. Again, self-deprecating humor has no place in your life. So even if a girl, and let's just say, you don't even have to say sexually rejected. If you get rejected in any manner, because again, sexually rejected means like if you're trying to escalate, you got her out and she avoids the kiss, or you simply have to recover and drop her at her door and forget it ever happened and never ask her out again. If a girl shuts you down sexually, that means she's got a hard limit, and that's fine. All girls have. You don't need to know why. You don't have to beg the question. You don't have to bring it up in the future. You just show up with a new girl the next day. The best revenge and recovery is to move quick onto other women. But when you do get rejected, there's no reason to hem and haw. It's just like blowing a play when let's say you're playing a sport and, you're in football, and I always use it like a cornerback blows a play. And again, they have a down and they've got like 30 seconds to recover and get to the next play, maybe even less than that. And that's what you have to do in game with women. You have to have a fast recovery. Something bad happens, you get rejected, you recover, you're on to the next girl. You open your phone, you're texting the next girl. You're getting the next girl in front of you. You move on, and there's always a time to review, kind of like if you're seeing a bad pattern or a pattern of bad behavior or bad outcomes over time, then there might be something that needs to be reviewed, or it might be a weak spot in your game. But in general, if you've made it this far, or if you're a beginner and you've got the structure and logistics and a plan, you're way ahead of the curve. And most of this is going to be a matter of getting experience. And it doesn't take you long to get experience, but you have to develop a short memory. That way, when you do get rejected, which is completely part of this game, everyone gets shot down at some point, and sometimes more often than not. But you're going to have a lot of victories. You're going to have a lot of wins too. So the more numbers, again, it's just like sales, it's a numbers game. You talk to 100 girls, you're just going to do better than the guy that talks to 1 or 10. So push the numbers, get good over time. But if you get rejected, don't admit it to yourself and don't admit it to the girl. You simply flat face, no reaction. Okay, you have a great day. And then you move on. And then you never contact her again. And you show up with a new girl. You might show up with her sister. Again, when a girl rejects you, everyone in the vicinity is free play. You can go out with her best friend, you can go out with her mother, you can go out with her sister. Nothing wrong with that. If a girl says, "Hey, you're not for me," and you're like, oh, "Okay, well, you might be for her sister, you might be for her cousin or her aunt or anyone close by, her best friend." That is what you have to remember. Do you think game helps you in other? Matt asked me, Matt Dempsey, if you can see it in the question box, does it help in other parts of your life? I believe it does, because a lot of this, just like recovering quickly, guys will be looking for a new job and they're going to get rejected a lot. All they need is one yes. But if you get caught up on each rejection in anything, and yes, there's a time to review and reflect, but in general, if every rejection literally devastates you and you're incapable of getting out of bed the next day, and you're depressed, and you skip the gym, and you're not yourself, it's going to take you a long time to have any success. And you learn this in business too. You know, it used to throw me for days, weeks, months at times when something was going wrong with the business. And I had to get over that. I had to get to the point where there's always going to be fires going on. There's always going to be problems from 4 a.m. to 11 p.m. My phone would be ringing with problems, and you have to fix it and move on, fix it and move on. And then when things aren't going that well, you still have to function. And again, a lot of this, you become very immune to the drama going on around you, and you realize how normal it is. But yes, it carries over. And again, I always like the sports analogy to recovering quickly when a girl rejects you. Guys can relate to that. You can go, oh God, yeah, in football, the coach is like, okay, next down, let's go. You got to put that behind you. You blew the play, let's move on. We'll figure this out in practice. And that's what you have to do out in the world, especially with women, is you get rejected. Yeah. You're going to go through thousands of women in your lifetime. And a girl rejects you, it becomes nothing, because the next girl's going to say, great. So you don't dwell on the rejection. You sure don't admit it to her, or there's no reason to ask for feedback. You can, because again, most of the time when you get rejected, it has absolutely nothing to do with you. She's got an ex-boyfriend. She fucked some rando last night, so she's not ready to fuck another rando today. You know, her ex-boyfriend's getting out of jail tomorrow. You know, she's pregnant. You just don't know it. There's always something going on in the background, especially with women, because they got so much goddamn drama that they can't breathe. So yes, it does carry over, and you will learn that, because anything that you're busy and moving fast is going to be tumultuous. So you have to kind of become immune to the ups and downs and just move forward with it. But yes, life in general life in general will move forward. Again, you just have to roll with the punches and do the best you can with what you have in front of you. But you have to move quickly, because too many guys get stuck with a bad situation and they stay in it for far too long. So maxim number 75, recover quickly. If you get sexually rejected, don't admit it to yourself, and especially don't admit it to the girl. Next slide. And it's up. I hope you can see it. Consistent beginner question. I don't know if she likes me. And I get this one a lot, but not as much as I used to. Maybe the message is getting out there. And the answer to that is she in front of you? If she's in front of you, she does like you. And if she avoids being in front of you, she does not like you. It's a very simple matter of looking, is she in front of you? And with guys they go, oh, I've asked her, they've not asked her out. They go, I think this girl likes me. I work with this girl. I think she likes me. Well, you have to ask her out. At a certain point, you're going to go as far as you can without asking her out. Because at some point, you have to go over the hump and ask her out. And her answer will tell you everything you need to know. And you will stop wasting time either with a bad prospect or keeping a girl in your orbit till she loses attraction for you. Remember, this thing is on a timeline. If you think a girl is interested in you and attracted, you're on a timer. Attraction has an expiration date. There is an escalation window, and there's only a certain amount of time that the girl's going to be attracted to you, and where you don't respond or try to move it forward, which is your job, and she's going to lose interest. Or another guy, more interesting and more aggressive, and will ask her out, comes along and distracts her. So you need to know that, and guys in our world, in this game, you see them being very prolific. It's because more girls are actually attracted to you than you realize. But once you kind of start picking up on it and you realize that you're on a timer, you don't have unlimited amounts of time, you start taking action faster, then things start picking up. And that's where you're seeing like 8 or 10 girls in a month or more than that. I mean, some of these guys are seeing 3 or 4 new girls a week. And so there's no magic there. They've just mastered the basics, which is being charismatic, identifying the yes girls, and asking them out. But consistently, the only way to move a girl from stranger to naked and in your bed is to ask her out. That's going to give you your answer of, is she attracted to you or not? She'll say, yes, let's go. She'll say no and never give you an alternative. Or she'll say, no, I can't Wednesday, but I can next Friday. So you got 2 chances at a yes and 1 chance at a no. Again, maybe girls, maybe they're like, I've been seeing this guy. You don't even think twice about it. And then you just move on. Again, any girl that's like him and hawing, not your problem. You want yes girls that are like excited to see you. And you'll get better at identifying who they are over time. Again, consistent beginner question is, I don't know if she likes me. Answer, is she in front of you? Is she making herself available? Girls do not spend time around men they're not interested in. They will around betas, but you're not beta because you're not going to give away things for free. If she wants to spend time for you, there's an exchange. If she's in front of you, she does like you. If she avoids being in front of you, then she does not like you. And it's very simple. Again, nothing for free. There's always an exchange. If she wants to hang out with you, you got to escalate. You got to move up the ladder. And that's the only way. You have to ask her out. Consistent beginner question is answered very easily and quickly. Next slide. I'm pretty good on time. This one gets me into all kinds of trouble. And it's because there's a certain type of guy that absolutely cannot do it, and that's okay. You've got to know your limits. You got to know what you can put into play and what you can't. But this is foundational. This is part of like my how to build a dating system. It's a step in there. And the story is from our dating, the guy's 30, she's 29. She was 45 minutes late. And he was cool about it. He stuck around. Said her mom called unexpectedly, and I had no issues. I had a drink and caught up with messages. But what she says at the very end of the day, then she explained, she goes, the date went really well, and we talked about a second. Both agreed. I joked, will you be on time next time? And she said, I did that deliberately. Then she explained she does it regularly to see if a guy is truly interested or will get up and leave. I found this a bit bizarre, and it makes me wonder what other tricks she might have, or am I overthinking? Girls will deliberately be late to put you in the passive or bitch position. That's not your job. Your job is to stay neutral. This is something that happens. All women are late, and you know this from experience. First tip is for you to be late. You can sit in your car. You can hang out at your apartment. You can sit at the house until she texts you, hey, I'm here. Where are you? Then you can get out of your car and walk across the parking lot and walk in. but there's no reason for you to arrive on time like your daddy or your grandpappy taught you, and you've never been late ever. And then you're sitting there for 30, 45 minutes, an hour stewing. And all these guys, they'll joke, I never wait. Well, you're never going to go out with any girls then, because every fucking girl is late. And they're going to be late deliberately, and they're going to be late because they're stupid, and they're going to be late because they're late for everything. And it's just part of it. There's no repercussions. Worst part, they walk in, the guy's already gone. There's no repercussions. They move on. They pick up their phone and call their normal fuck buddy. That's all. That's the deal. Again, first date tip, be late. Not all of them. First date, leave your house, get out of your car. When she texts, I'm here, where are you? Tell her that you just got there yourself. All girls are always late, both because they're girls and deliberately. Girls will do this and they won't always admit it, but it's part of their game. And girls' game is they go, yeah, I don't like to play games. That's their game. So your job is to counter that and run interference on it. And this really messes up. And I'm going to say that there's like 10% of guys that, due to conditioning and environment, neurosis, nervous habits, they literally can not do this. Don't do it. Just skip it. If you can't do it, just know that you're going to be there for a while waiting on her to show up. And that's part of it. So the hard part, what I found for normal guys that can do this, is when you're sitting there and then she finally does arrive, you have to switch gears because you're annoyed. And who the fuck wouldn't be annoyed after waiting for some bimbo for 45 minutes to show her dumb ass up? You want to hang out in your car, in the air conditioning, maybe at your house. Then when she gets there, she's like, hey, where are you? You're like, hey, I'm just down the street. I'm at another bar. I'm on my way. And then you walk in and then you pick up the date. Now you've got time and momentum and you're fresh. Again, as opposed to sitting there for 45 minutes waiting for the princess to arrive, you're just doing your own thing. And then when she arrives, it's a regular date. You're fresh and everyone benefits. And that's why you're late on the first date. That way it can be good. You can be fresh. You're not put out. Everybody arrives at the same time and you just manage it. Again, this is like girl management. Guys go, I don't want to play games. Well, they're going to play games. And this just helps you manage your own energy, your own attention, and allows you to get things done while she's fucking around, dragging her feet, talking to her girlfriends on the phone, whatever it is. And then she finally gets there. And then you can pick it up and go. And then it's time. Game is on. And again, so first date tip, be late. Leave your house, get out of the car when she texts, I'm here, where are you? Then you know she's there. Tell her you just got there yourself. All girls are always late, both because they're girls and deliberately. And again, if you're in that teeny tiny percentage of men that absolutely cannot do this, skip it. It's not worth the anxiety that you feel or how you seem to violate your own moral code or whatever it is your grandpappy instilled in you. Just skip it. It's not make or break. Just know you're going to have to wait. You're going to be there for a while. She may show up eventually. It might be better to sit in your car, but you do what you need to do. First date tip, be late. Every guy that uses goes, yeah, this works. I had to use it all the time. You'll see that you use it almost every day. So that's just the way it is. Next slide. The number one issue today holding men back from taking girls more seriously is not body count. It's not the girl's leaked nudes. It's not her OnlyFans account or his avoidance of commitment. Obesity has thrown off the sexual marketplace. It's because all of these girls are overweight and it's become a problem. It's literally made the pool of available women for single men smaller, smaller and pickier because there's fewer of them. It's in a way, it's um, artificially reduced the number of women that are available to men. Again, in the 70s, 80s, even early 90s, you never saw, very rarely, an overweight bride. And now it's a normal thing, like big girls, big girls getting married all the time. I mean, it was absolutely unheard of. And now you see it as a matter of course, a matter of days. But what people don't understand is guys' eye and what they will close a deal and what they'll commit to, a lot of it's biologically driven. And they'll only close on a girl that looks like she's healthy, can carry a baby to term, and be a good mother. And a lot of this research has shown that the younger the guy is, the slimmer the girl, the silhouette has to be for him to be attracted to her. And they think that that kind of comes with either, hard wiring, that that the girl's going to slowly 3 to 5 pounds with each pregnancy. They tend to gain weight. So you start with a girl who's younger and lighter and underweight, and she'll hit that weight just right after the third or fourth kid, and she's 30, 35 years old. That's the theory. But again, a lot of this is hardwired. It's not a matter of like preference. It's hardwired because they're looking for the healthiest, ideal body for pregnancy. A lot of this stuff is very, very ancestral. Like, it's how our brain is wired. But truly, I really think that the obesity, and it's not 40%, it's not 50%, it's really 90%. If you look at the mall, you go to an airport, you go to Target or Walmart, 90% of the population is overweight. Where you don't see that, you don't see the actual average, is in affluent coastal towns, California, Florida, Colorado. If you live in Colorado, if you're in the military, it's getting fatter, but still they have to have some standards, and they are active. And if you have played sports most of your life, or if you're in fitness, again, there are certain, and a lot of these guys, are in our world. So you may not see it as much, and like guys go, oh, everybody's slim around. And I'm like, well, what do you do? Well, I'm a DJ, and, I like to work out a lot, and I own a fitness company. You're just like, wait a second, you're in a different world than most people. If you're in construction, you're going to see it. If you lay wire, you're going to see it. If you pour asphalt, you're going to see it. If you work in an office, you're going to see it. So again, if you work in fitness, you live in Colorado, you live in Boulder, Colorado, you vacation in Palo Alto, California, you're not going to see the real reflection of how overweight everybody is. But everybody is fat, so just go to the airport and see them move through, and you're talking 90% of the population is overweight. And it throws off the dating pool because there's just fewer women to pull from. So it is the number one destabilizing factor in the sexual marketplace. And it's not girls not being taken seriously, late news. It would really solve that, and you solve all kinds of the dating and fertility problems that people have been saying. But that's a real deal on that topic. Most girls expect your default to be beta like all the others. This is something that I've talked about. I'm going to go over this, and then we'll talk about how it affects you on the street or on the ground. Most girls expect your default to be beta like all the others. Never taking her seriously, being a selfish, self-amused, overconfident ass fixes that. Where you see this and where it affects guys in our world the most is when you do introduce yourself to a new girl. Girls are so used to being bored, annoyed, put upon, guy fumbling sexually, like escalating before she has any interest or shows any signs of attraction or indicators of interest. there's a lag because girls had their bitch shields up. And so when you meet a girl, I always tell guys, especially if you're new at this, I don't care if you're texting or if you're face to face, there's going to be a lag time between when you introduce yourself or you meet with a chick and her picking up on who you are and what you're all about. Because 99.9% of the men that she will come in contact with, she will avoid like the plague. Whereas you come along, there's going to be a lag time. And that's why I tell guys, keep pushing, especially if you've not been doing this very long. You have to push all the way to where it's fuck yes or fuck no or even fuck off. So you have to get a lot of repetitions under your belt. When you start a conversation, a new conversation with a new girl, be it through electronic or face to face, there's going to be a lag because she's going to have her bitch shields up. And it's going to take her a little bit of time, most of the time, to realize it's not just another dude. And then you'll start getting more fuck yeses. 007, who, if you just look up 007, I think it'll pull it up. He's really good at this. He's at the point now where, like, within 2 or 3 exchanges by text, off of an app, the girl knows whether she wants to be there or not, and he knows whether he wants to be there or not. And it's you got to run a little bit of asshole game, but what it does is it filters. It filters out the no girls, get rid of them. The maybe girls get to make a decision. They go, yeah, this is how they'll describe it later. He's not really my type, but I really found him interesting and exciting. It takes some time. Again, all girls will tell you that they're, shy at first. And that gives them some time or a little bit of margin so they can kind of feel you out and see if you're actually alpha. So that's what they really want to do. And so most men are not. Therefore, they save themselves some disappointment or they don't fuck the wrong guy. And that helps. But again, there's going to be some lag time between when you meet a girl and when she picks up on that you're actually an interesting, charismatic man, because there's so few of us. So you have to realize that it's going to be a little bit of lag time, and not to become annoyed or to bail too soon, too early in that first conversation. But never taking her seriously, being selfish, amusing yourself, overconfident, being an ass, fixes almost all of these problems, and she will click or she'll bail. A lot of girls, they're fucked out and they don't want anything too interesting because then they have to actually work. They'll bail, and that's good because you want to get her off the screen and get the next girl in front of you. Again, most girls expect your default to be beta because most men are beta like all the others. Never take her seriously, never taking her seriously, being a selfish, self-amused, overconfident ass fixes all of that. That way you're only banging out yes girls. This kind of carries over from the previous confidence, your self-confidence being paramount. Post is for men over 40, just taking charge will set you apart from every single dad, scout leader, little league, sensitive guy that's bored her to tears. Girls of all ages want fun, excitement, uncertainty, and not to be bored. Deliver this, and your only risk will be fucking yourself to death. Dr. Ralph Napolitano, he's a chiropractor. He's in New York City, but like his family owns like a restaurant. If you want to know where you meet a lot of women, own a restaurant in New York City. But he has a third point here is, I think this was for like divorced guys or older players. Kill the nice guy personality. Women eventually resent the nice guys. Yes, dear, whatever you want. Yes, dear, that's good. Wherever you want to eat is fine with me. You must learn to be decisive and lead. Women want this, not the nice guy. Again, girls do not want to make decisions. They want you to make decisions for them so they can be along for the ride. But especially men who are in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, if they've gone through a divorce, their identity or your identity will be as a dad, a little leaguer, a scout leader, a responsible, um, you know, person of the community. And these are all things that are good for you and your kids and your family. But in the dating pool, it's best to just push that over to the side and work on charisma, work on taking charge, leading the way. You don't have to be a complete asshole, but it actually helps. But for men that are in their 40s and having to get back into the game, it's a bad idea to, we even say only if you really run out of things to talk about, you bring up the kids, because girls will talk about their kids. And if you have to buy time, you can say, hey, tell me about your kids, and girls will talk and they'll find you pretty interesting. And it buys you time to stay with more interesting topics, sexier topics. But again, for guys in their 40s, they've spent 10, 20 years suppressing their natural assholeness. And it's under there. You just have to let it back up and kind of move the dad stuff and the responsible scout leader and the corporate ladder climbing guy over to the side and let your freak flag fly, because you can be both. But just for men over 40, taking charge, having a plan. Bunny and I, we've got a girlfriend that's in her late 40s, early 50s, and she's been dating. And she was talking about the number of men that show up and go, what do you want to do? I mean, we're talking man, it's these guys do not have a clue. And these are men that should know better. If you make it into your 40s and 50s, you should know better than to show up and ask some chick what she wants to do. She doesn't know. She wants you to lead the way and entertain her and move her to bed. So just knowing, and there's another tweet earlier this week, yesterday, about a guy that's in his 40s, just having a plan, just knowing where you want to take her and then moving her through that plan, you're going to be way ahead of the curve. You're going to do just fine. And like I said, all of this is in my How to Build a Dating System book that you can find at fortworthplayboy.gumroad.com. If you're back in the game, you're getting your feet back under you, it's the best source of moving a girl from complete stranger, or girl that you work with, or girl that's a vendor, or girl that you kind of know, to naked and in your bed, and then becoming a repeat customer. For men 40 plus, just taking charge will set you apart from every single dad, scout leader, little league sensitive guy that's bored her to tears. Girls of all ages want fun, excitement, uncertainty, and to not be bored. Deliver this, and your only risk will be fucking yourself to death. Guaranteed. It happens all the time. Sometimes it doesn't hurt. What helps my guys, what makes you a player, is knowing what you're doing. Knowing what you're doing and taking her along with you. Again, for first date, there's just a series of events. And sometimes there's more than you realize once you kind of write it down. But first date reminders: 1, have a plan. Dress one step better than you think you should. That way you can go anywhere you need to go. Be late. We talked about that earlier today. In fact, if you started feeling anxiety just by me saying be late, be sure to watch the be late video that is going to go out today also with all of this. Don't lean in. Posture, head up, chest up. Let her lean into you. Keep an eye on her, 45 degrees. There's all kinds of things in my book, How to Build a Dating System, at forwardplayboy.gumroad.com, that will help you keep your posture straight. She's more nervous than you are. You have to realize, you think you're nervous. Keep an eye on her hand. It's going to be shaking. Most likely, I don't care how many dates a girl's gone out on, she's around a new guy, she's going to be nervous because she's hoping this is the last first date she ever has to go on. But remember, she's more nervous than you. Hold your drink low. Don't drink to excess. And you have to keep an eye on your intake and hers, because picking her up in the middle of the street isn't going to do you any good if you're trying to move her to bed and to have sex, on the first date. And always keep in mind, most girls, especially if they're kind of new back on the market, have probably pre-gamed. So on her second drink with you, she's actually on her 5th. or 6 because she's had 3 or 4 drinks at home just to meet up with you. Girls get that nervous, and the alcohol, remember, alcohol is sex fuel up to a certain point, and then, it messes the whole game up. So just keep that in mind. And you have to keep your drinking in check too. Don't smile too much. Be discerning. You're there to kind of judge her a little bit. You don't want to be too gracious. Slow speech, movement, everything we say, less is more. Slow your speech down, slow your movement down. If you're nervous, and that's acceptable and it's expected, but if you consciously slow your movements down and you slow your cadence down and how you speak or the rate in which you speak, you'll find yourself calming down. It's one of those that the physical leads to the mental. And it helps. It's huge. And again, it helps her calm down a little bit, and she's confident in your presence. And pay. It's a cost of doing business. Guys, in my world, you just pay for the date. There's no question. She will offer. You go, hey, let me get that check. She may offer, you decline, and then you pay the check. That's all there is to it. You don't let any of that stuff get involved. It muddies the waters. You want clean, you want speed, you want this to be a non-issue. Girls appreciate that. Again, I've never seen a guy that split the bill and closed on the date. It's never happened that I'm aware of. Maybe it happened once in 1971, and she was too drunk to remember. It doesn't matter. You stack what we say, stack it in your favor. You pay. Don't think about it. You've moved on. You're already at the second place, or you're on your way back to your apartment with her. Again, don't let it become an issue. Pay. It's the cost of doing business. These first date reminders is just an example. This is a simple example of how to run a good date that you can move her from complete stranger to naked in your bed reliably. And she has a great time doing it, and you can have a great time, and it's repeatable. The next week, you just plug the next girl in there, and she moves from complete stranger to naked in your bed, and she becomes Miss Tuesday Evening. And that's how you do it. But again, all of this is in how to build your dating system at fortworthplayboy.gumroad.com. And we're going to wrap it up. If you guys have any questions, DM me. You can text me on Twitter. You can ask through the questions on YouTube or at fortworthplayboy.gmail.com and email, and we can get directly back with you. But I appreciate your time this Sunday morning. We have like 300 people here, maybe 280, which is great. It's great. And I appreciate you being here. I know your time is valuable. And we will be back here 7 a.m. Monday morning for 30 minutes talking about game, pickup, relationships, and sex. And I hope you guys have a great Sunday.